Akademiks can't ride no wave.
Hello?
Hey, Karen.
Hey,
Uh,
hey, Ak.
Hey, we're live. I think you know that, but we're live. We're kind of talking about everything. I just came back from Toronto. Caravan was amazing. So I get to look at the
Oh,
couple.
this is why. This is why when you don't text back, you're fucking on a jet. This is why.
Now I was kind of outside a little bit, you know. I was moving
Okay.
around, but I'm back now, and this is a major topic. We're talking about the whole YG Drake to the ruler. Drake is now coming to the mix, and you're now like thrusted into the thing because
Ah,
we have a
I
tweet up that said you responded to a comment and you said turn this
mhm.
up, and people have had many different reactions to it. Could you explain?
Okay. Okay. One, let's turn it down a little bit and
Okay, let's
calm
turn it back
down
down
on
now.
on my behalf. So first and foremost, I did not realize, like, I tweeted turn this up because I thought the conversation was paid media, like, and speaking negatively about like YG, and I wanted to hear the full context. I did not realize it was going to include like insinuations that have to do with Drake or claims of Drake. Like, I didn't even realize that was what's the gentleman's name?
Glasses Malone.
Glasses, sorry. I didn't realize it was Glasses Malone. And even in that, again, nothing wrong with it. I know he has his own personal issues, um, with OVO, Drake, he's been very vocal in that. So again, once I realized the insinuations with Drake and the claims, like where it was going, I just deleted the tweet because, again, I don't necessarily subscribe to that conversation or those notions.
Okay, and I'm
Yeah.
thank you so much for even like clarifying it.
Yeah.
So, all right, so you basically thought this was a conversation on the surface about paid media, paid narratives, and
So
what
look,
is
when you
happening.
I saw the tweet like real quick. I'm like, oh, okay, they're having a conversation about, like, I really have this internal thing. I've been having conversations with like friends where I feel like the LAPD, in a sense, or not just even the LAPD, police now are using media to continue their investigations and do certain things. That's a whole nother topic. So when I saw paid media, YG, what was transpiring, I'm like, oh, okay, this goes into what I was discussing. Turn this up. Then I go into full context. I see who it is, the conversation where it's going, and the claims against Drake. That's why I was like, oh no, I'm going to have to delete this because I do not support what's being insinuated, and I don't want my willingness to listen to mistake it as an agreement. That's why I deleted it. And then people who asked, I responded to them like, yeah, I don't subscribe to that notion because I know people see Drake as like the product. This is somebody who's been in this business 15 plus years. I see the person, and it's a very sensitive topic. Even YG too, just the last couple of years, it's a very sensitive topic around all of that, especially conversation around him. So I don't play the online games, and not just him. But yeah, I don't play the online games and using this as entertainment, because what's happening to people in their real lives, like, this is not entertainment.
Did any or either or reach out to you, whether it's YG or Drake or anyone from Drake's team that either commented on this? Because obviously it spread like wildfire, but it was seen as an endorsement, and obviously people know you've worked with YG. I don't know if
Oh,
you've ever worked with.
nope, nope, nope. Nope, it's not an endorsement. I
No,
didn't
that's how
speak
people
to
seen it.
like,
That's what I'm saying initially. That's how
oh,
they saw
okay,
it.
okay. No, which I appreciate you providing that clarity. I didn't go into it with YG. I didn't speak to him about that. We didn't go back and forth. I actually spoke to I didn't speak to anybody on the overall camp. I don't really thing there, but yeah, I mean, if they do reach out, if it ever gets to that thing, it's not negating that at all. Like, because at the end of the day, I'm a civilian, like my name, and it's unfortunate situation. And I'm gonna just keep saying that it's an unfortunate situation, um, on both ends, when it just has to do with these two people who are like, yeah.
Yeah, I was I was thinking that this would be something. Obviously, you've cleared it up now, but I'm thinking.
Hmm.
I'm just telling you what I thought initially. I
Hmm.
was like, well, I know
Yeah,
you've had a relationship in the past with Wayne, which is Young Money, and Drake
yeah,
kind of comes from that camp. So, and I know you also have had a relationship with YG, but also like Nipsey.
yeah.
I would think that
All because
knowing
of
you.
all of the things.
It,
Yeah, no. Knowing me, first and foremost, act because we've been through
yeah, yeah,
this like from a business front. Like if
yeah.
it's conversation things, that's first and foremost. Like I don't predicate to get into this like these back and forth where I feel like a whole bunch of other people are included. And I'm always gonna be on the stance when it comes to like I don't really have a vocal POV because my POV on Drake is not necessarily one that a lot of people may agree with or understand. This is somebody I've been in Los Angeles for 14 plus years. Throughout my time in Los Angeles, with talent, different people that I've worked with, he's been super instrumental. He's been always very supportive. Um, yeah, so I don't have like the bad to subscribe to him or the to negate what everybody else is saying in certain things. I've never had that. Like I've never had those challenges. He's always been amazing. Like when I started my website, like he was super amazing in just like the process of that and just always being a supportive person when it comes to like independent artists.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't have a conversation. Just to answer your question, I didn't have a conversation on both ends. I didn't necessarily think it to. I apologize if it caused a fiery storm, but deleted it. Yeah, I deleted it. I didn't realize where this conversation can go. Sorry, my age is showing. And yeah, that's not entertainment to me at all.
Yeah.
So deleted, move from it because it's not entertainment. These people, like I understand, like same thing for YG and Drake, and hopefully you read between the lines of what I'm saying. I don't subscribe to talking about like it's 5 to 6 artists: the Drake, the YG, the Kendricks, the Jay-Z's, and certain people, the Nicki Minaj's, and conversation online because it's so much other stuff. And when you're working in this business, you come face to face. You're working with these people in close proximity. So yeah, I value that, and I take that serious within itself. So I'm not going to be playing online and giving falsified POV.
No, no, of course. I do want to
Yeah.
kind of get into what you were kind of aiming at because there is a
Hmm.
larger conversation about that. And I
Yeah.
wonder where you kind of have seen, you've been around for a long time, really even before me. Congrats to all your
Yeah.
success. But when you talked about, all right, so you meant to speak about like just paid media and maybe paid narratives or whatever. That has been a subject that people are talking about, right? Shit. Recently, we've seen Charlemagne the God, who felt like
Hmm.
there's certain propagandas going out, maybe going against certain artists, for certain artists, whatever it is. I wonder what you think about that. You're behind the scenes. You kind of see everything.
Yeah.
You see everyone's hands. And what do you specifically think about how that's affected someone like YG, especially maybe like in a recent year or so?
I don't want to just say it affects him, just speaking in general. So now that publications aren't as prevalent as they once was, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now we're in this new digital stream and certain things, and everybody's utilizing their phone. So advertising looks very much different now in that lens, right?
Yep.
So a label may not spend the $20,000, $30,000 on putting out an ad where they may take that budget. Now they're creating a whole bunch of online content, advertising things that don't look like kind of ads, that's curated content.
Mm-hmm.
That has been full stream the last couple of years. It's a gift and a curse where I don't necessarily know somebody who would take their budget or spend their own money to negatively bash or whatever somebody else, especially when you have this fixed budget. Labels say, we have $20,000. You're not going to put that $20,000 to say, hey, I'm not going to spend that $20,000 to go, Akademiks sucks. I hate Akademiks, when I could use it to go Karen this, Karen that, and make myself more prominent in media. So
I've seen it though. I've commented on that. I've said that.
But the thing is, it lives in that space if you have the budgeting for it. But when you think, like, even I posed a question in the response to Glasses, when you now think of, like, I think in that podcast post, now when you think of the new independent audience, the new independent artists, how do they now compete in this digital age and things like that. Because before you could probably listen to music, but now with paid content, paid media and certain things, like where do they live, how do they get a chance to function and be heard outside of, say, like a platform like TikTok, with Instagram and Twitter and things like that.
Mm.
So
Yes.
that was a conversation like I eventually posed and was like, this lives, no offense to Drake, but I'm like, let's have a bigger conversation outside of Drake, where what happens now, like how are we controlling how paid media works when it comes to the independent artists who don't have the budget? How are we helping them?
So let me elaborate on this conversation a little
Yeah.
bit, and hopefully the audience could find some type of silver lining here.
Yeah.
And I've always called these out because I
Yeah.
think I'm one of the most transparent people in media in terms of I've always told people what I've gotten paid for. Like I don't think it's
Yeah.
nothing I need to hide about it. So if I'm like, hey, I
Yeah.
get paid to promote music, there's no need to hide or whatever and not disclose that. But I've also told them like at times, like for example, I'm very cool with Playboy Cardi. Someone
Yeah.
at a time didn't really tell me what artists they were representing, but they had money to send over and they said, hey, listen, could you post this? It was a negative article against Cardi. It was like, hey, his concert isn't doing well. People are walking out. It's clearly because they wanted to promote something, to promote an idea that Playboy Cardi,
Mhm.
maybe his concerts aren't doing as well as you may think. But I wonder who would that benefit, right? Like, and that
Yeah.
goes down a realm. Now, I turned it down. I even said it publicly. But I think
Mhm.
now these days people actually believe, right, that there are
Yes.
ongoing campaigns that people are funding. And I'm guessing the reason why it gets to a Drake is people think that you must have a big ass budget if you could just fund a campaign not to promote yourself, but to put somebody down. I think that's where if I'm thinking Glasses isn't,
Yeah.
being misled by some other, crazy lunatic, I gotta think that he's thinking like that as well. It's like it's the same thing with and people on another side think like, for example, there's a bunch of like ideas about Drake and like, legal gambling or whatever. That felt
Cool.
like it was being pushed out there as a negative story against
Yeah.
him, but who would have
Yeah.
the power and authority to do it? So,
So
so
look,
what you've
I,
seen?
I,
Go ahead.
so look, I get that. I 100% get that, and this is where I sit with it, right?
Mhm.
So I can't fully answer that question because I don't know where you sit with, say, somebody like a Glasses. I think if it ever gets to the point where what is confusing and what is missing in hip hop is dialogue, and that dialogue of us having a difference of opinion, and that's fine, but still being able to articulate, have the conversation, the discourse, and move forward. I think really that's the question you would chime in if it ever gets to that place. You ask him because it's obviously some more underlining, or he's really strong about his POV. That's one. But the other thing I think it's really important for people to understand too is like when it comes to relationships and paid media, right? If I have a relationship, the same way I may have a relationship with I love Joe Buttons, right? I may have a relationship with Joe, right? If me and Joe have a friendship and we're cool, he's not going to say if there's a negative post about me, or if there's gossip, if there's thing, he may not necessarily post it. If it's something in favor of me, he may discuss it. But that's not me asking him to. That's because we have a rapport and a relationship. I think a lot of that also needs to be included when you think about Drake, because for so long people were speaking so negatively about him, but he's helped a lot of people, and that includes in media too. He has his relationships. One of them is you. So anytime you speak about somebody who may have been in battle or in competition with Drake, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're paying him. That means it's probably a conversation you want to have. Or, you know what? This my man, folks are speaking. I want to do that. There's so many other things that come into that facet. Hopefully you understand what I'm saying.
No, I
Where
completely
it
get it.
can, yes, it could be paid media. You could have a relationship with the person where it's like, no, this person can't. I know Drake can't come on a computer and say XYZ, so I'm going to say it on his behalf, if that is even a thing. But he's not the only one. A lot of people have relationships the same way people to this day, when they see me, they assume Nicki Minaj, even though I haven't worked for her in years. It's the same way as like people just assume the, the connection, even though there's not one there. So I
What,
say just take it. I, I say pretty much take it like that when it comes to him. There are people who fuck with him at the end of the day,
I agree.
and that they're gonna rally for him, and that's just what it is. But there are people who do. But we gotta call a spade all the way around, because it's mud being thrown on both sides of this entertainment industry, and I'm not referring to just YG, where it's mud being thrown on both sides. So it's like, okay, so we just got to sit back and kind of just watch. But if we're going to accuse Drake of something, like, if you're going to accuse the other side of something, I just feel like things are being done on both sides, so you can't necessarily point the finger if that's the case.
Yeah. No, 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 no.
Yeah.
You're
And
exactly right.
when I go into that, I'm meaning paid media in your favor. I'm meaning your friendships, who you align with. One is not bigger than the other, and you can't complain. So if you cool with that person, this person is cool here. That's just what it is.
Yeah, I think this is a new kind of realm, even though this has been around, where I think people are
No,
looking at it.
this hasn't been around in this capacity. This is brand new, because before, what was it? It was like, you knew what it was. It was the new music cartel and certain things where it was like, oh, we just have a conversation and that's that.
No,
You
no,
weren't
yeah,
at
I
this.
mean, it's a
No,
narrative
one
war.
second.
It's a
No.
narrative
Yeah,
war.
a narrative. Yes, it is a narrative war now, where like 50%, 57% of the internet. I don't know if you read this recent article. I'm gonna send it your way too, where it said 50% of the internet is not real and is based off perception. So yes, it's a whole new thing where it's paid media narrative, it's digital storytelling is king right now. So an artist has to figure out a way to filter through.
Yeah, I think the internet
Yeah.
was a little shocked by this downturn, and also the internet is more knowledgeable than it's ever been. Because I think for a lot
Yeah.
of people, they remember Drake and YG doing records that are platinum, and they had a
Yeah.
great relationship. So I think this, even you mentioned conversation, and
Yeah.
not to throw you into the fire, because I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
once you get to a certain level, you're like, keep me out the group chat. But would you be open to try to foster? Because this clearly seems that YG might be believing this idea of, oh, Drake is trying to, and this is a serious allegation. He's trying to fund a
Yeah.
campaign to get me investigated for a murder. Like at that point is like, that's like playing street through propaganda. Would you foster a conversation possibly if you were in the position between them? Because I really don't know where their issues stem from.
Yeah.
There's so many like rumors, but
Yeah.
you seem pretty cool with YG. I'm wondering if I remember when you hit me up and you were like, hey, Act, could I get you on the phone with Nipsey? And out of respect for you, and I know how, when you
Yeah.
make that call, what it means.
Yeah.
We got on a phone call, and we had a beautiful, like, it was talking for like 2 hours.
Yeah.
Would you try to insert yourself in this way, or is it one of those things you're like, this is men at this point, and I'm just gonna exit, stage left?
I'm in this situation. I'll have the back end conversation if that is even a POV that YG is thinking, which I highly doubt. Which he's thinking. I don't want to speak on his behalf.
He was
But
shouted out
that's
in the battle. He was like, yo, I think my nigga bang a set like YG. I thought it was all great gravy.
Yeah, you know what, and that's the part that I can speak on. I've seen their work history, being on set of the video, watching him stay longer than necessary. He was
Mm-hmm.
always amazing and supportive. I can't talk about where the relationship stands now, and like we kind of know why, like it's a domino effect when issues and fallout whatever happen. But that's a conversation I'd probably have to have with him if it even is at that place right now where he's even thinking that.
Yeah. Yeah,
Because I
Drake.
can't, like, as I'm talking to you right now, how many do I have? I have two. I have two featured Drake plaques on my office wall. So it's like, again, I'm never going to, and this is one I sit with, I'm never going to negate, you know, the work, the love, the time, the effort, that he didn't have to do, that he put into a lot of people and showed love to the underdog and still do to this day. But me saying that, I don't want to negate whoever else's experiences, similar to like my relationship with Nikki. She was always amazing to me, but I can't negate somebody else's experience. And I never want to feel like I'm devaluing it. But for me, like, and when I tell people this, like, Drake was very instrumental in when it comes to artists and just, just different work and stuff like that, especially in my career, watching him pass through the different things. Same thing with YG and Nip. So hopefully they get through this. Because it's been a trying couple of years since this battle, and watching, unfortunately, everybody, you're watching the dominoes kind of fall from this thing. And I just feel like hip hop hasn't fully recovered from it, from a personal and business space, because a lot of things were said. And yeah, again, these are people. I don't want to talk about them like they're products. These are people, who got families, who, these are people.
What's your relationship, or like how closely,
Mhm.
maybe either a work capacity or at least just still being a friend, are you
Mhm.
to YG these days? Because
Oh,
at a point.
we're still in a great work capacity. I
Okay.
actually did a song off the project.
Oh,
I
okay,
think
okay.
the timing is a little weird
Yeah.
because it's gonna be thing, but yeah, his song "Oh My God" with Pusha T, I'm really excited about. So that one, but
Wait. Did
yeah,
you did you like A&R that joint? You kind of put it together?
yes,
Oh, wow.
yes.
Oh,
So
you know, it's always
that's my
hard to
third.
describe what you do when you pretty much fit like every bill. Like at times you could come off like an executive, you could be an A&R, you could be someone who's seen as an assistant, you could be seen as a PR, mogul. Like you kind of do everything.
I like to say an executive, a woman that gets things done, but
Yeah.
I'm not so prevalent and fixated on the title, because titles can be given and titles taken away. So think of it in community. I'm an executive who runs my always civil business, which is multimedia branding marketing company.
Hmm.
So if there's a way to create conversation to put you in new spaces, that's what we do. So if that includes your music, your digital footprint, endorsements and opportunities and things between, yep. So for YG in that situation, it was getting him a different sound, something thing. So it worked out with that. But yes, to answer your question, it's still a great working relationship and stuff there. Um, to sidebar and have this. I don't necessarily, again, I don't know if he feels that way. I don't want to speak on his behalf and
Yeah.
think that's what it is, because they have, outside of the noise, they had their own personal relationship. And the reason why, I don't divulge or do too much on the entertainment, because when people find their way back to each other,
Yeah.
you don't want to be on the outskirts of that. And that's gonna,
We've seen that happen before.
yep,
Uh,
and lots.
I think Adam, he did a broadcast and he said that he had reached out
Mm-hmm,
to Drake,
mm-hmm,
and basically Drake had confirmed that he wasn't aware of a problem with YG. And I don't know, this might be getting too deep. You might not even know some of these stuff, but
yeah.
apparently YG never got along with the deceased rapper Drake, and Drake
Mm-hmm.
did a collab with him. So I guess Adam was asking, like, hey, is that kind of the reason, or he was trying to figure out why maybe YG would even believe this? And supposedly Drake was like, he was dumbfounded. He was like, no, I really don't have, and maybe he was because again he shouted out YG in the battle 2 years
Yeah.
ago. So I mean, I feel like we're kind of waiting on YG here. Again, I know you're not speaking
I
for him.
think
Go ahead.
is yeah, I think it's like I can only take, you know, um what Adam is saying, like I'm not calling him thing. I can only, because it's like at this point we're playing telephone.
Mm-hmm.
If that's the context of that, those two those two knew each other. They made music. If it gets to that point, I know a lot of things have materialized, things were said and whatever else.
Yeah.
They will figure that out. But I'm gonna be transparent. I don't even know where that lives. I
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know where that lives, why people the way they do, if they feel the way they do and whatnot, because it shouldn't even be to this place. Um, Especially when it comes to music, entertainment, and things like that. We're so in a space of division when the business of music and the branding and everything around it, people's businesses are growing in a space where we should be connected. And unfortunately, we're not. And when I say that, this is me going off in a tangent, but the same week is Fanatics Fest. All this talent is in New York, but the same week is like the Knock the Thing in New Jersey. So I think about those moments of like, damn, y'all need to also go to this. We should be celebrating this and all be in one, because it's not often where you get a Fanatics Fest, but at the same time, here's this hip hop person putting on the same thing that is similar to, and this is one person, and this is a person of what? Like Fanatics was like 150 different companies, and this is one person.
Mm-hmm.
So even, I know I'm kind of trailing off, but I say that to say is like, this is where I hope music gets back in a space where from a business aspect, we could go back to celebrating each other, because some of the best work is being done now. And we can't even like, I can't say we, I'm saying we to be fair, but it's like they can't even really celebrate and be in each other's spaces right now.
Yeah.
And this is some of the best business like we're seeing.
Yeah, it's definitely quite unfortunate. I wonder. So, what advice? And that's what I was asking you.
Yeah.
How how do you still either work with or associate with YG? Because I, I I think what he
Mm-hmm.
did though, or his response, that wasn't
Mm-hmm.
very Karen civil like, which is if there again, we don't know about any investigation or whatever, but we
Yeah.
did see a TMZ headline of him being detained. If he
Yeah.
is subject of an investigation or inquiry, hopefully he didn't do anything, but like if he
Yeah.
is, this is probably not the way to respond. Like I think the authorities or whoever would want to see him fail would probably be like, thank you for tweeting B team, tap in, like, right? I'm wondering, when you see that, you'd be like, bro, take this down, please. Like this is, even if that's a thing, that should be an offline conversation. And
Yeah.
reacting like that, I'm pretty sure investigative bodies or even the internet that's now talking about this, right? This has gotten a whole set of legs because the internet is
Yeah.
talking about his acknowledgement
I
of
think
this rumor.
more importantly, because he's not he's not fixated or thing on investigation. I think the problem is it creates conversation, and it creates this. It creates people creating a narrative and a POV
Mm-hmm.
on what exactly he means by that. Because could that have meant, again, even say for myself, I know what I meant when tweeted. So it's like for him, what exactly does that mean? What were you trying to say? But that's something I would offline say to him, and I'll be transparent. That's not something you need to bring eyes to right now,
Mm-hmm.
especially in this social media game. There's no post and delete.
Yeah.
Everything is too fast. I'm realizing even for myself, everything is too fast, too quick, and it's never really gone. So again, in that situation, I don't want to keep talking. I'm talking about them as if products. These are both two individuals who knew each other at a point, right? Who still know each other at a point, who created music, who had personal conversations, who's partied, and who's done everything in between. So that's why I don't subscribe to creating conversation, critiquing them, or anything, because life's not easy at all, especially when it comes to being a Black man. So, and certain choices and certain you do. So I don't even want to be on the internet entertaining, commenting, and I mean that from both sides.
Yeah.
So I will say, even on my end, I will give the apology if people thought like that was my being intrigued to a conversation, not fully knowing the context means I'm co-signing. That's not it at all.
Okay. What are your, and before I do want to ask you about Max B if you're willing
Yeah.
to talk about it, but right before then, what are, like, I feel like the West Coast. I've said this.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the West Coast, Drakeo's murder, I feel like it's probably the most ignored rapper death I've seen of recent times. Just with modern technology, I think people usually come to some piece figuring out what happened, who did what. This was like a cold case. It looks like it's heat back up. We don't know what's going to happen, if there will be any arrests or any other updates. I know you like reside on the West Coast and you work with those West Coast artists, but I wonder what you personally feel about, like, it seems like the cops are trying to bring some type of peace to the family. Do you have any thoughts about it, or do people just don't give a damn? Like, you know what I mean?
Honestly, I haven't been too invested in understanding the case and knowing where it lives. I'm not in, I don't live in LA no more.
Oh,
But
okay.
yeah.
Don't tell me you moved to Houston. Now. I ain't trying to dox you, but you know.
Oh my gosh. No, no, no,
Everybody
no.
moved to Houston. That's what's been
Oh
going on.
no. But like the situation itself, that's another one where I'm saying this is sensitive. I don't like to, because this person still got a mother, they got children, and I'm not about to be on this on the phone thing POV and like this is entertainment.
Yeah.
With this situation, like, and that goes for him and his family. So I don't really, that's another one. A civilian in this situation, I'm always going to lead with empathy, because this is somebody who, you know, his family still has to hear these things and stuff like that. And I think of them first.
Okay. Fair
Yeah.
enough.
Because I don't really have, like, it's one of those things where, and I really mean it, where I really have no context or thing to add,
Okay.
to say. Yeah.
Definitely makes all the sense. Hey,